Hi, this is Samantha with A Walk Down Memory Lane, and I this weekend decided to work on a layout that I'm going to build a little mini album into as well. I do want this to go into my regular album, so I'm going to actually show you then at the end how I put it in a page protector and make it so you can flip through the mini album while the layout's still in the page protector. I'm going to build it as I go here. I haven't done something like this before, but I know how I want to do it, so I'm going to walk you through step by step sort of with that. You will see me turn off the camera and come back when I have pieces completed of it, because I don't want to make you sit there and watch me cut every single piece, but I'll give you all the important pieces and you can see me build it. Now the idea for this, I'm going to use some Simple Stories Harvest Lane, and I took a trip to the pumpkin farm with my son and his kindergarten class, and so I want to scrap 2 of the photos from that trip. And my son made this cool A Trip to Pumpkinland book that has step-by-step pictures he drew and what they did at Pumpkinland, and I thought it'd be really fun to save that from his trip. So what I'm going to do is show you what I've picked for my base is, sorry, get you in focus there, is this flower pattern from Simple Stories, and I am going to make it so you can flip through the book pages and also both photos. Now I'm showing you the back sides of these photos instead of the front sides. It's a whole class picture, and so since I don't have permission to release all the faces to you guys, I'm going to show you the back sides of the pictures, and you'll just have to pretend that there's a bunch of little kiddos at a harvest area in these photos. What I'm starting by doing is picking my base, and then I've decided that I'm going to attach the photos in each book page to a piece of pattern paper as well. And I've chosen this sheet of Harvest Lane for it. You're going to see both sides of the paper, so I picked a piece that I liked both sides of. And you're going to see the floral pattern on one side and this great blue plaid on the other side. Now I'm working with florals today only because most of the time I scrap just boys, and so I don't get to play with florals as much, so I pulled out the floral patterns here. I started by measuring my photos. Well, my photos are 4 by 6, I know that. And then my Pumpkinland pages here, these little pumpkins that my son created, are, if I put them on a piece of paper, I wrote my measurements down, they're going to be about 7 1/4 by 5-inch sheets of paper that I need. Now I also want to do, I want to be able to have a little bit of room because I'm going to score it and create a little binding so you can bend over and flip. So I'm actually going to do, if you can see what I wrote down, is 7 3/4 inch by 5-inch pieces, because I'm going to score then at 7 1/4, so I have a little 1/2-inch strip, sort of like a book edge to flip over. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those pieces now, and I'll come back once those are attached, and you can see how I'm going to attach them to my layout piece, then to my big layout base. Okay, I'm back again with my cut pieces. I have my front flap that I am going to use for my photos, which I have off screen for now. And I'm going to put a photo here and here, and then I have my pieces cut for my book. What I did is I cut my pieces just slightly larger, like we had talked about, than my pumpkin, with a 1/2-inch border here that you can see now I've scored along. And I'm going to use that scored edge. I put some score tape on it to adhere it to my base piece. I've decided that what I'm going to do is build an automatic layer out of the back piece, and this piece will get attached directly to my base part of my layout. And I'm going to have my top book pieces be framed out by that. So I cut a 1/2-inch larger on the side, so I get a 1/4-inch border on that very base piece than this piece. So this piece, my smaller pieces, were 5 by 7 3/4, and so for this bottom piece I went 5 1/2 by 8 1/4, just so I have a little bit more room to work with here. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way to the top then. So I've attached this already. All I used was my glue glider for this. I have my 1/2-inch border here that I have scored, and I didn't have any 1/2-inch score tape at home today, so I used 2 pieces of 1/4-inch score tape, but 1/2-inch score tape would be great too for this. And what I'm going to do is pretend like this is flat instead of scored up, and lay my piece out as I would if it were one big piece without that score mark. And I'm going to get it lined up on here so it can open like a book for me. And like I said, I'm building from the bottom up just to make it easy for assembly. And in case you're not familiar with the score tape, it just comes in a roll. It's a nice sticky double-sided tape. I put it on ahead of time so you don't have to watch me fumble with that. Now for my next piece, I'm just going to line it right up on that border as best I can. And try and get that even as possible. And then I have one more piece here, and all I wanted to show you was I had these, book pieces, what I was adding this book out of, and all I did was slap a little adhesive on it, center it up a bit, and stick it down. So nothing fancy with how I put this book together. I just wanted to see me put one piece down there. And then my photos, like I said, will go. I have two photos, so one's going to go here and one's going to go on the front side. I will have photos where I blur out the faces on the kids so you can see the entire layout, one piece with photos in case you're interested in seeing it with the photos, and I'll have blurry faces. It's just a little more of a pain to blur it on the video, so we're just going to pretend they're there for now. All right, now from here, I'm going to make my layout, just make it look like a regular layout with a photo and add some decorative pieces. You can see I have some journaling tags set out. This fall line comes with, this Harvest Lane comes with some cool stickers. So I'm going to play around with that, get that built up off screen, and when I come back you can see what the layout looks like put together, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to cut my page protector so this actually fits in the page protector, but you'll still be able to flip through the book and see all the pages. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I'm back with what will hopefully be the last step of putting our layout together. I've made my book, I've got my pages in here, and I attached it all and made a layout of it, and I am going to now put it, I've got it in my page protector, and I'm going to make this so my book comes to the outside of my page protector while the rest of my page is underneath. If you have a couple different types of albums, make sure you know which album this is going to go into. I have some postbound and some ring albums, so this one I know is going into my son's school postbound album, so I grabbed a postbound, I grabbed a postbound page protector for this. I have for this part of it, I got myself a dry erase marker. Regular dry erase marker I had for anything. If you don't have a dry erase marker, I think a washable Crayola type marker will probably work. But if you can get your hands on a dry erase, that'd be good. I have my Tim Holtz ruler. I have a couple different rulers. I like this one for this task because I'm also going to be using a craft knife for this, and the Tim Holtz ruler on one side has this metal edge, so I can take my craft knife along the metal edge and I don't have to worry about cutting or slicing my ruler. What I'm going to do is start by drawing a line on the outside of my page protector where I want to cut. And I put my page inside my page protector all done so I know exactly where things are going to line up. And I have this scored line that's sort of the binding of my page. And what I'm going to do, sorry, I'm trying to make sure I do this without getting in your way here so you can see what I'm doing, is line up my ruler along that scored line. And I'm going to go from the top to the bottom and just make a line so I know where I want to cut. And I'm going to go slightly over and slightly below to give myself a little bit of room to thread my pages through. And that way too, I hopefully won't rip my plastic at all when I'm flipping pages. If it was exact, you might get a little bit tearing, and this way it gives me a little bit of room. Alright, so I have my marker line over where I want my cut. I'm going to pull my page out so I don't accidentally cut that. And I left a white piece of paper in here just so it's easier for you guys to see what I'm doing, a little bit easier than my brown countertop. I have a really big cutting pad and I have a small cutting pad, so I'm going to use my small one to protect my cutting surface. And I'm going to have to move it a few times to make it work properly. But all I'm going to do is butt my ruler up against this line. Nice and straight. And I'm going to use my fingertip craft knife. And I'm doing this at a weird angle off screen, so if you don't mind bearing with me, I'm going to tilt this so I can see it a little bit better while I cut this. And I'm just going to cut right down that line that I made with my fingertip craft knife. If you have a nice long cutting pad that fits inside, you won't have to move it like I do, but I don't, so I'm going to have to move it a little bit and do a second round of cutting. Go right on that line. And this is why I used my Tim Holtz one, because I can cut right alongside my ruler for a nice straight edge. All right, now I want to make sure that I connected everything. And I've got a little piece there that I didn't quite get. I'm going to just slice that. I'm going to get my lid back on my craft knife. And I'm going to erase my line now, so I don't accidentally get any of that on my layout. And it looks nice and clean now. I can remove my paper. And this is the part that's going to be a little bit tricky. Oh, we'll get you back on screen there. This is my part that's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to have to fold my pages back just a little bit to get them threaded through my hole there. And now I've got them threaded through my page protector. I'm going to put my photos on here, so if you do this with all photos, you might want to wait to put them on afterwards. And I've got my book that I can flip through, but the rest of my layout is protected, and I've got my holes in my page protector so it can go in my regular album. I will take some photos of this as well and put them up at the end so you can see how it all fits together with the photos on it with the faces blurred out, and see it picture by picture like as well. But it's really that simple to make a little slit and get your album sort of within your album, able to thumb through but still protected. Thanks for stopping by and taking a look at my album today.